I recently reviewed the Nissan Frontier, and I said that truck made mid-size truck buying easy because it was a simple choice over the competition, but there was a small caveat in there. I did say that the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Canyon look really promising, but I just thought there was no way you would get your hands on one of those. Well, folks, time has passed, and now you can get your hands on one of these. So is the Frontier still king? I don't think it's so simple anymore. I think that the GMC Canyon makes mid-size truck buying a lot more complicated. At the front of the GMC Canyon AT4X, we have some real beefy skid plates under there, but it's not all raw metal. There are some smarts too. There is a trail camera that you can get on this vehicle. It's going to show you what's underneath the truck as you are off-roading. That is really cool. We have a great 36.9-ish degree approach angle here. GMC achieved that by removing the front air dam, and there's a factory lift on this vehicle and a specially shaped bumper. That is pretty good, especially when you consider the Ford Raptor has a 33-degree approach angle. That means that with this truck, you can approach more aggressive inclines. At the side of the Canyon, we have massive 33-inch tires, and they brought back the squared off wheel arch look. I really like that look on General Motors products. The suspension has been specially tuned for high impact off-road events. Think going really quick and jumping with lots of compressions really fast. These shocks are going to be able to handle that sort of activity. Speaking of off-road activity, we have 10.7 inches of ground clearance thanks to the factory lift that the AT4X gets. At the rear of the Canyon, we do have a 5-foot bed. Since this truck is lifted, I do think it'd be nice to see General Motors step-in tailgate put on here. I think that this would be a good candidate for that tailgate option. We do have a manual sliding rear window there, about 1,280 pounds of payload capacity here. AT4X models will be able to tow up to about 6,000 pounds. Overall, pretty nice truck. Under the hood of any Canyon, you're gonna find a 2.7 liter engine putting out about 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. General Motors really wants to highlight the tech in this vehicle, and they should. It has a fantastic display here, especially when compared to the likes of Ford or even the Nissan that I was praising earlier, the Frontier. This thing still beats it in terms of infotainment, and we have a wonderful heads-up display. It's super clear. General Motors has been in the heads-up display game before anyone else. You know, they had heads-up displays on some of those early Corvettes, so they know what they're doing. The tech in here is really on point. You even have a G meter. In your pickup truck, you can see how many G's you're pulling in your performance menus. Now, in terms of actual interior design, they did a real nice job here. This white is a real bold choice in an off-road focused pickup. I think I'd probably stay away from that. I'm not sure if General Motors offers their Kalahari peanut butter interior on this truck, but I love that interior. That Kalahari peanut butter looks absolutely fantastic. We have carbon fiber accents, which as far as I can tell aren't real carbon fiber, but you know what? It's visually interesting, and the parts that you do touch in this truck feel pretty good for the most part. Rear space is pretty good. We have large windows on the side here, so it feels pretty light here in the back compared to most other mid-size pickup trucks. We do have air vents back here, USB-C, USB-A outlet, and a full-size outlet down here. Now we can pull out our rear little rest right here, and we will find 2 cup holders. I wish I had slightly better nubs, but they're acceptable. And you have an armrest. Now, the back here is pretty nice, but it should be. This vehicle is just a smidge under $60,000. So for a lot of people, this is going to be both a daily driver and a work truck, doing both jobs. All right, going for a drive in the GMC Canyon AT4X, I'm immediately reminded that while this is a mid-size truck, mid-size trucks are still pretty big, as I cannot make a full U-turn in one go. Let's see how we accelerate onto the road with that 2.7 liter engine. And you know what? That's actually a much quicker response than I expected. The response is about as powerful as I expected, but the amount of time it took for the engine to actually start moving me and pushing me forward was lower than I expected. So that's good to see. It's more responsive than you would expect from a mid-sized truck. And coming around the bends here, you know what? There's no getting around the material fact that this is a mid-sized truck, and it's just not gonna feel like the Alfa Romeo Giulia that's just passing me. I got to drive that earlier today. But you know what? The Giulia can't tow 6,000 pounds like this thing can. For what it is, you know, it drives exactly like you'd expect, minus the fact that it's a little quicker to accelerate than I actually initially thought. That heads-up display is really useful right now. Just as I'm driving, it's a bright day out today, but it's still crystal clear. I really like this new design from General Motors. I'll be interested to see this heads-up display make its way into their other vehicles. Coming around a little bend here again. Yeah, there's some lean, some body roll, but you know what? It's a truck without anything in the bed. It actually drives better than some of the other trucks I've recently driven. What comes to mind is the Toyota products, both Tundra and Tacoma. This definitely handles turns better than they do. I have not driven Ranger in quite a while, so it's hard for me to make the comparison there. But of course, Ranger is in the middle getting updated right now, so that is going to be a good showdown between this and the Ranger. And of course, Tacoma just got an update too. So the mid-size truck market is really hopping right now. And it's a good thing to see because it was a stagnant market for a while, but then everyone just came in and said, whoa. Now this truck might be a little too big still for some people. You still feel like you're in a truck. You know you're in a truck. There's no getting around that, right? No matter how good the engineering is. And as I turn into the parking lot and finish up this video, I'll say this was a fun truck. I like it. Or fun's the wrong word. I should say enjoyable, right? It drives like a truck. It is a truck. But there's something fun to that, you know? It's not sporty, it's not fast, but that's not its job. It's ridiculous to expect that from this when it's built to tow 6,000 pounds, when it's built to take a family of 4 around town comfortably. And I'm not sure what Mr. Acura here is doing. But thanks so much for watching our coverage of WAPA Press Day. We have a lot of videos to film today. This was just one of them. I'm gonna go drop this off now, and we're gonna get in something a little more sporty.